Hi, today I'm going to demonstrate how to paint a tree in early springtime just with a few leaves on. I'm just starting off with a simple little sketch in pencil using a 2B pencil just to get the main elements in. Now I'm going to mix a grey for the tree trunk and branches using ultramarine blue, a small amount of cadmium red to make a kind of purpley grey, and a tiny little bit of yellow just to make it a little bit more of a neutral grey. Once I've done that, I'm just going to come in and paint a little bit of the tree trunk and a few of the branches just to give a little bit of structure. Now at the base of the tree, I'm just putting a few indications of the shadow to the left of the tree and some grass for some texture. It's important to make sure that the tree's sitting down into the landscape. Now I'm going to mix the colours for the leaves. On the right hand side the tree is lighter, so I'm going to mix cadmium yellow and a small amount of ultramarine blue to make a yellowy light green. And I'm going to hold my brush with my fingertips and drag it to create a dry brush technique to try and get the texture of the leaves. And you can see I'm just very gently pulling it across the paper, almost in a kind of scumbling action. Now on the right hand side, I'm trying to get the angle of the leaves, and I'm holding it at a steeper angle, more of a kind of 45-degree angle. And what I'll do is I'll try and create an almost fan shape for the tree. You can see it a little bit more clearly the way that my brush is pointing up to the sort of far left at that 45-degree angle, and I'm trying to paint clumps of leaves for the branches. Now I'm coming over to the other side of the tree, and my brush is pointing down the other way to create the way the branches are kind of leaning over to the left, and using that scumbling action again. In the middle of the tree, I hold the brush at more of a horizontal angle while using the dry brush technique. important not to overwork the leaves. It's early summer or spring, and it's really important to leave plenty of light coming through the leaves. I'm now just going to come in and put a little bit more dark on the left hand side, and as I drop it in, just be careful not to cover up those sky holes. Now it's time to start working back on the tree trunk and to put the branches that are showing between the leaves. Be careful not to overwork it again, but it's important to get a proper structure to the tree. You'll see that occasionally I dab the paper with some tissue paper just to remove marks that I've made that I think are maybe a little bit too strong or dark. And I do it a few times in this part of the painting. I'm just reasserting a few of the darks in the tree trunks and behind the leaves. It's amazing, just these few little bits of dark can really pull the painting together and make the leaves pop out. You want to give the effect of the leaves being in front of the branches, and by putting these little darks in, you're creating little negative dark shapes which makes the positive light green shapes and green leaves pop forward. Right, well I think I'm just about finished. It's better to stop before you overwork it, and I wanted to give the effect of a tree in early summer or spring, so I'm quite pleased. Now I'm going to show another tree now. It's another tree, a picture I took on a walk, and it's later on in the season, so it's more sort of early summer, but a little bit later on, and the leaves have fully come out. So there's going to be a lot more leaves on this tree. I'm first making just a quick drawing with the main shape of the tree. Look carefully at the shapes. Don't just try to draw an amorphous kind of lollipop shape. Really try to look at the character of the tree, but we're not putting much detail on. Now with this tree, we're not going to paint the tree trunk or branches first. We're going to go straight in with the leaves. And I've mixed a light yellowy green with cadmium yellow and a little bit of ultramarine blue. And as you can see, I'm holding the brush differently to the last tree. It's a different type of tree. And I'm using almost kind of like a circular motion to create that more rounded effect. I'm also covering more of the paper, but still remembering to leave plenty of sky holes or gaps between the leaves. Now I'm coming to the left hand side, and I've gone to a darker green. I've used more ultramarine blue in this mix with the cadmium yellow again, and I've changed the angle of my brush and really trying to show distinctive shapes for the branches. Because I'm working slightly smaller on this tree and using slightly bolder brush strokes, the tree very quickly builds up, and I've almost finished painting really the leaves. Now to make some areas darker, instead of just using the same dry brush technique, I'm using the tip of the brush and just feeding those areas that I want to be darker with the tip of the brush and letting the dark green run into the wet areas underneath. Right, I'm in the final stages of the painting, and we won't see that many branches, but I'm just going to come in and in the gaps I'm marking in areas where I can see branches, and also I'm going to work on the tree trunk. It'll very quickly take shape. The secret is not to overwork the stage. As I work on the darker branches, where they touch the lighter green areas of wet paint, they will run together. Don't worry about that. That's actually a really nice effect. So underneath the canopy of the leaves, where I've just worked on the tree trunk, those dark areas are just spreading into the green areas. Now I've just started also working on the shadow underneath and used a few little kind of techniques to get the effect of the shadow. And I'm just coming in with a few more darks to bring the picture to life. Now I thought with this tree I'd put a little bit of a background in just to kind of make the lighter green part of the tree kind of pop out and give a little bit more atmosphere. So I'm just dotting in behind the right hand side using a kind of a similar dry brush technique to what I've been using for the tree, a light kind of bluey grey. Basically I just use the same mixture, ultramarine blue, cadmium yellow, and I've just dropped a bit more red into it, and that's made a lovely blue. And I'm just suggesting trees in the background and leaving little chinks of white, giving a little broken texture. And I'm now working over to the left hand side, and what I'll do is I'll get some clean water and I'll just drop some little bits of clean water around those areas after I put the grey in, which will automatically soften off some of the edges and push it into distance. So I'm doing that now. I've just got some clear water, I'll just drop that on the right hand side, and now I'm getting some clear water and dropping in around those grey areas on the left, and these bits just paint themselves. It's just a matter of dropping it in and letting the paint run and do its own thing. By dropping the water in, it creates a kind of classic lost and found edge, soft edges and then there's hard edges, and the general effect is more pleasing. Well, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed seeing me paint these summer trees. Have a go yourself. It's fun. It's just practice. If you don't get a great success on the first time, just keep practicing and you'll be amazed at how quickly you'll improve.